Welcome to Painting the Apocalypse with MacTavish. Today we'll be doing a landscape on an 18 by 24 inch canvas. But before we start painting, we need to go out into the field and do some plein air work. That is, I'm going to be sketching my reference material, doing some drawings on the canvas out there, and then we'll return to the studio and start painting in earnest. I enjoy the controlled environment of the studio, but nothing's more exciting than going out into a world full of radiation, toxic clouds, and of course, the evidence of what was civilization. But you really have to get a feel for the environment if you're going to paint it. I used to love approaching a blank canvas, and now everything's a blank canvas. I just paint it with my imagination. A lot of people come up to me and ask me, what's it like to be the last man on the face of the earth? I'm just kidding, nobody says that to me. I am the only person. It's very difficult to try to stay civilized in an uncivilized situation, but when you're a community of one, you're your own civilization, and as far as a culture concerns, I think I'm doing pretty good. I must say, despite the journey being long and arduous, it was well worth it. Oh wow, that's going to look magnificent. Alright, we're back in the studio from the field. Here we are getting ready to paint the sketch that we made when we were out and about. We've got our palette here loaded up with all of our different colours and pigments. You'll see a list at the bottom of the screen of the different paints that we'll be using for our landscape today. And initially, I think I'm going to start by bulking in some of the darker colours here, using the darkest hue in our palette, and let's start by darkening in the sky right up here. We're working rather wet, which is quite ironic because the world's rather dry. We'll start by bulking in some dark shapes up here. Oh, look at that blend. I won't be staying exactly like what we saw when we were out in the field. I'm going to be taking some liberties because art replicates reality, but it also replicates the soul. And so there'll be things coming from my heart and from my imagination. And also, during the process, I'm not going to be taking through every little teeny brush stroke. I'm going to give you a basic idea so it has something for you to work with, because it would take too long. We're going to be cutting it down a wee bit, editing, as they say here in filmmaking, or at least in television. Alright then, looks like we've got our values placed in here. It's starting to come along. At this stage, we're going to start putting a little bit more vibrancy in our colour. We're going to be using some burnt sienna in the ground there, as I like to call it, doggy loogie. And the nice thing about working wet is it just glides right in there. Oh, look at that. Oh, that looks like the reflection of a lovely sunset, doesn't it? You know, a lot of my students used to be quite worried that if they made any sort of mistake, it was the end of the world. Oh, but it's just a painting. Oh, look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. That's nice. And just let it flow right on there. Oh, and there's a dry bit. Well, that's okay. That'll look really good as the effects continue to be added. Every post-apocalyptic day is a good post-apocalyptic day when you are painting. Alright, and there we go. That looks pretty good. I cut a wee bit out so this doesn't go too long, but you get a basic idea of the process and what we've done here. So you'll be able to work that on your canvas at home. We've reached the stage where we need to start working on the sky, and we're going to be using wallpaper yellow. It's one of my favorite colors. We're going to create a beautiful, golden corona above the horizon. I'm just going to start adding in that beautiful piece of the sky we're going to create. It's going to look a little bit like, some would say, an atomic blast. You'll see there's a few flecks of paint in here. That's okay. We're going to create some lines. It's okay if those lines come in. That could perhaps be the trail of a mutant slug. You never know. What you can't tell from this angle is that I'm wearing a kilt while I paint. A lot of people say, why do you wear a kilt when you paint? Because you're Scottish? No, because in this day and age, in a post-apocalyptic world, there's not too many trousers left. It's free and easy. Oh, look at this. A wee reflection. Is it the sun? Is it an atomic blast? Is it the end of the world? I think it's all three. Oh, look at that. It's blending together quite nicely. That sharp yellow is becoming a little bit more muted. What a desolate looking environment we've created here. Painting landscapes in the apocalypse can be fun though. I used to have a lot of fun painting trees, but there aren't any trees anymore. Well, I think our next bit is we're going to add a little fire, a little passion. We're going to add some red to the sky. It's really beginning to come together as we see the world fall apart. Adding in some of this pigment to the sky. Oh, looks like I got a bright patch. That's all right, we can blend it in. Red can be lots of things. It can be the colour of candy, the colour of your lover's lips. It can be blood. And there we go. It's coming along quite nicely. But as with any painting, I always like to take a moment to take a break. So I think I'm going to step away from this canvas, give it a rest and give myself a rest, and I'll be recharged, and we'll finish it in just a moment. Well, it's good to take a break from all the fun we're having with our painting. Let's see if I can pop this thing open. You're probably wondering why I'm painting and sharing, considering the way the world is these days. When I was young, I really loved to create, and I loved art. And my mum and my dad, they wanted the best for me, and they wanted me to be a doctor. But I didn't want that. So I travelled to America and I got a master's in fine arts. They never spoke to me again. Not after that. And I suppose they never will. Not now, anyway. But still, I'm creating and I'm sharing. The life that I was going to have in the world that was that. And I'm doing it now. Even though after the great change, things got terrible. But then they got better. Sometimes they get worse again. But I'm still painting and creating, and I'm sharing it with you, even though you may be the nothing that is now. I don't know. Oh, there we go. I think it's open now. Let's give it a try, shall we? Actually, that's quite good. It's not my mother's cooking, but it's not bad. That's gelatinous. What a lovely day. All right, we're back. Let's just finish up our painting here. I'm going to use a little bit of burnt umber because, quite frankly, everything's burnt. Got to be sure to load up your brush. Always make sure you've got plenty of colour when you go to your apocalyptic painting. And we're just going to blend that right in. Look at all those lovely particles in the air that we're blending. All those grandmas and grandpas and moms and dads and children and all the horses and cows, all those bits of particles, all just floating happily together. All of creation mixed together in our beautiful, scorched, post-apocalyptic environment. Oh, just have fun blending all that right together. Oh, beautiful. Look at that all through there. Can't be sad when you've got colours like these. I'll tell you that. All right then, I think we're done. The only thing left we have now is just to let her dry and then we'll hang her up. I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode as much as I've enjoyed making this painting. Please tune in next week for Painting the Apocalypse with MacTavish. Thank you so much.